Well, now that none of us are going to sleep, welcome to the show, Simon, who stayed up so late to be with us.
Absolutely. Here, I'm just going to tell everyone a little bit about you, Simon.
Sure.
Simon Pearce is an award-winning director and editor based in the United Kingdom. He is principally known for short and feature work, including the short action thriller Officer Down from 2020, his Stephen King adaptation I Am the Doorway from 2018, a feature-length supernatural horror Judas Ghost from 2013, and a gritty coming-of-age tale Shank from 2009. When he is not directing, he works as a freelance editor for the likes of the BBC, Animal Planet, and National Geographic. He continues to develop short and feature-length titles with a focus on commercial genre products. And please welcome everybody, Simon Pearce. Simon, how can you possibly have done all of that? You don't look old enough to have done all of the things that you've done.
Well, I've been told I'm very baby-faced, so I look deceptive for my age.
Oh, very good. That's a good thing to be, for sure. Let me just say before I ask you a question how much I love This Dollar Baby. You and I have been in contact before, and you know that I've seen it before. It is absolutely one of my favorites, and to me is, in so many ways, the quintessential Stephen King story, simply because my first introduction to seeing a Stephen King book was Night Shift, and of course, it is so iconically the cover of certain versions of Night Shift. Can you tell us why is it that what attracted you to this story and what made you decide that this was going to be the Dollar Baby you did?
Well, actually, it came about. So one of the writers who adapted it, Jeffrey Stackhouse, who, shout out to Jeffrey, I think is watching, he saw the feature I did, Judas Ghost, which played at Shriekfest in LA in 2013. And he actually got in touch with me off the back of seeing that, because he had the rights to This Dollar Baby and was planning to adapt it, and kindly asked if I would be interested in doing it. And I must admit, I'd not read the story before then. So I went out and got a copy of Night Shift and read it and loved it and said, yes, absolutely, I'd love to do this. So then, Jeffrey Wendy and Richard Becker wrote the script, and it was an honor to do it. It was really exciting.
It's a very ambitious Dollar Baby to tackle, for sure. There's a lot of special effects in this. Can you talk a little bit about, obviously we want to know a lot about the practical, really grotesque stuff, but I'm also very curious about the opening shots with the spaceship. How did that come about?
Yeah, so that was, our main effects were done by Paddy Cullum, who did all the kind of eye stuff, which we'll talk about shortly, I'm sure. And then there's another guy, Alan Tibret, here in the UK, who did the space stuff for us. And actually that was really interesting, because just talking about how that was going to look, obviously one of the things we talked about was the spaceship itself. And, I didn't want anything that was hugely futuristic. I wanted it to seem real, and but I myself had no idea what would a ship that could maybe make that deep space journey look like. And actually through Twitter, I ended up speaking to some guys from the European Space Agency who actually worked with me to say, talked about what the ship was supposed to have been capable of doing and all that, and basically helped me come up with a design that roughly would look appropriate, for what this ship was doing. So then I was able to work with Al to make a model, obviously also, along the lines of what I thought would look cool on screen, but hopefully also somewhat realistic for those in the know, a ship that could do that. So he did those shots for us. And it was really, it was quite nerve-wracking initially when we first did the edit, and we had this big block of voiceover at the beginning with no picture, that was going to open the film, and hoping that would obviously look as good as it did. But Al did an amazing job, and it was really fun putting those together.
Oh yeah, I mean that was top shelf. I mean, what a way to open a Dollar Baby, for sure. So let's go on then to the grosser stuff. Can you tell us the process of that? Because again, like reading that story and knowing what you were going to have to see, I just can't believe that. I mean that you would be able to tackle that in a Dollar Baby situation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so obviously that was definitely something I was anxious about going in, because of course the whole thing, as you say, kind of rides on those effects and that central idea, and I didn't want it to look cheesy or naff, and so we took the time to make sure we could do hopefully a good job with it. And it was actually there was three sort of key people involved with it, or three steps in the process. So my producer Wolfram got in touch with Todd Tucker at Illusion Industries in the States, who are an incredible company. They've worked on some huge movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, all sorts of things, and they actually designed or built the eyes for us, the practical little eyes that went into his hand. Those were sent here to the UK, and then our prosthetics guy Derek Lloyd applied them on set to the actor. But obviously those were static, there's no blinking or anything. And then Paddy painstakingly in post did an amazing job animating all of the pupils dilating, the blinking,
Wow.
all the sort of twitching, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we didn't have the sort of final look until obviously the edit was finished. But even just on set, I could see, this is looking really good. This is going to work. And actually that final shot there at the end, when he reveals all of the eyes, when he finally unravels his hands, I had not seen the final makeup at that point. So the first time I got to see them was on the monitor, and I was like, oh yes, that's really cool.
Absolutely. To think that the movement and everything was done in post, I mean, obviously you'd have to kind of do that, but it's so seamless. Like it just looks like a practical smorgasbord.
Paddy did such a cool job.
Absolutely. Yeah. So did you film it in Scotland, or where was it shot?
Yes, we did. It was quite a big search, actually, just because, on paper it's quite simple. It's a, sort of remote cabin. But obviously, I kind of thought, well, where do you start looking for somewhere like that? So we were kind of looking at coastal regions in the UK that might have maybe a holiday home or something, that we could hire. But a lot of the places we were finding, because they were holiday lets, were actually very, quite plush. And either they were very expensive to hire or just didn't have the right look. And then we found this place called High Tide on Carrickshore in Scotland, sort of just over the border near Dumfries and Galloway. And it was perfect. We saw some pictures online, and then we went and recce'd it. And it was just, as soon as we got there, we just knew, oh my God, this is the place. It was, fantastic.
And your cast is fantastic as well. I mean, again, this is such a close drama. It really requires the people involved to really be as good as they turned out to be in your film. Can you tell us a little bit about the casting process, how you found those guys and the child as well?
Yeah, so almost immediately, I knew I wanted to use Simon Merrill's for Arthur. So I'd worked with Simon on Judas Ghost, which is the supernatural horror feature I did, which is what Jeffrey had originally seen. And I just immediately pictured him for it and knew he'd be great. So yeah, I brought him on. And then Grant Masters, we actually found quite near to when we started shooting, actually. We were sort of struggling to find the right person. And then another actor friend of mine recommended that we check out Grant. So he came and did a reading in London with Simon, and they were just a great fit. As soon as we saw them together, you immediately felt like they had this connection and this relationship. And he was brilliant as well. So it was a real pleasure to work with both of those guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, they knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Oh, I should say as well. So Maurice, the young boy, is he's the son of the location owner.
Oh, so wonderful!
Awesome.
Well, High Tide is his holiday home, so he did the little cameo for us.
Perfect. Well, the authenticity was palpable for sure there.
A lot of our friends on Twitter are basically saying that you've grossed them out, but just like in the best way possible. Bunny Von Blades 1 says, "This is one of my favorite stories ever. Thank you for doing it such amazing justice. The effects were grossly spectacular, and it successfully made me cringe into a ball when he unveiled the first eye."
It's very satisfying, the times I've been fortunate enough to go to some film festivals to see it, just hearing the audience squirm at that moment. And really funnily, it's not something we actually thought of much on set, but of course, quite rightly, everyone's going, don't stick a pencil in it. But we hadn't really thought about that at the time. We just thought, well, he needs to pry it open, the pencil's fine.
Yeah, that's all. Twitter is just like, Jesus Christ, oh my fucking God, that was insane. Like,
I noticed that on YouTube, somebody just said that they actually decided they had to go out and fold laundry rather than look at those blinky pustules.
That's cool.
I do have a question. This is from Victoria 2004. When you make such body horror, what's your inspiration for the aesthetic of this kind of creature? That was awesome.
We definitely talked about a lot of kind of, I guess, classic body horror stuff like The Thing, a lot of David Cronenberg movies, and we really wanted it to have that kind of feel. So I think that was definitely kind of our main influence. Again, in terms of whether we do it, there was a discussion at one point, do we go all digital? And then it was like, no, it'd be nice to do as much as practically as possible. And again, those sort of era of films definitely kind of inspired us to do as much practical effects as possible. So that's kind of where the look came from. And then also just the descriptions in the books as well.
Awesome. I have to just go track this down really quickly for you. Did you just wake up? Have you been watching along? Do you know about the haikus?
I do know about haikus, yes.
Okay, so obviously our friends at Derry Public Radio have written one for your film. So here it goes.
Awesome.
A vessel to sea, journey from humanity, a door has opened. And we give I Am the Doorway 5 out of 5.
Yes.
Blue chambray shirts.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
So, so you hadn't actually read this particular story before, which is amazing to consider how well you adapted it. But I guess you're a pro, so that makes a lot of sense. But were you a Stephen King fan before? Had you read other of his work?
Well, funnily enough, no, I was sort of quite late to him in a way, because I was growing up. I wasn't necessarily the biggest horror fan, purely because I was a bit of a wimp when it came to stuff like that. So I tended to avoid it. And then when I made the horror feature Judas Ghost in 2013, prior to doing that, I watched loads of kind of classic horror movies, and that really got me into the genre. And I totally understood. Oh my god, I get the adrenaline rush of these things, and so I'm really into it now. And then that then led me, of course, on to Stephen King. And so since then, I have read some of his stuff. And actually, really recently, I've finally got around to reading It, because, of course, it's a mammoth book, but it's fantastic, and I loved it. Night Shift, again, reading those stories, or reading, Doorway in particular, just as writing, it's just obviously so, incredible. That was a really nice kind of added introduction to me to him. So it was certainly an honor to adapt it, nerve-wracking, because, of course, it comes with a huge kind of legacy, but I'm very glad that some people seem to think we did a good job, so that's awesome.
A lot of people think you did a good job, and that leads us to the next question, because we have been asking a lot of our filmmakers this question: if you had an opportunity to do another Stephen King adaptation and budget wasn't really an issue, is there a story in particular or a novel that you would like to try and adapt, and how would you go about that?
Well, I must admit, I'd actually love to tackle a feature version of this one. It's something that I know the writers, Jeffrey, Richard, and Wendy, they've talked about as well. And I'd definitely be up for giving that a go. I think there's definitely mileage here to do a sort of bigger story in that world, as it were, and with that idea. And it's such a creepy idea. So, I definitely, who knows what may happen down the road, but I definitely love to do that if the opportunity was available.
Oh, absolutely. It's got a whole event horizon kind of thing that you could do with that. And definitely some people in the YouTube comments have been saying exactly that while they were watching it. They were just like, shut the door. Let's get him to do a feature length adaptation of this, because it is fantastic.
Thank you. That's great. I should say as well, because you mentioned about shooting in Scotland, a shout out as well to our director of photography, Phil Mayhew, who did an amazing job, with the look of the film. And, so much of that is down to him as well. We were also extremely lucky. We shot in that location in Scotland in February of 2017, and February in Scotland is not necessarily going to be conducive to good weather, but we were extremely lucky that week, it was kind of cold, but it was pretty dry almost the entire time. And funnily enough, the medic we had on set at one point said, you'd be lucky you weren't here last week, because it was a monsoon all week. So we did very well there. And so, it's very grateful to have had that location that we got to make it work. It's cool.
Absolutely. Do we have anything over there, Leah?
I'm sure. I was reading something else. Everyone's just grossed out in the best way possible. And then comments like, you look way too young to be this accomplished. Is it wrong that I ask how old you're? Like, I really need to know. How old are you?
I'm 33.
That's amazing. You look way younger than that.
But I know I didn't look it.
There's your answer, everybody.
I'm sure it's all going to go.
You made a lot of people happy because they were asking for sure. So what are you working on right now? What's next for Simon Pearce?
So I'm actually editing a horror feature right now that a friend of mine directed. I don't know if I can give away the specifics of it yet, but people should definitely check out a horror short on YouTube called Vicious. if they haven't yet, which is directed by a good friend of mine, Oliver Park. And he's recently done his first horror feature, which I'm cutting at the moment, which is awesome. And I'm also doing the festival circuit with Officer Down, which is the action thriller you mentioned. So people can definitely check that out via Twitter, Officer Down Film, Officer Down Movie on Facebook. And yeah, so that's an action thriller movie, which was fantastic to work on. And I've got a couple of sort of thriller scripts in the works based on that idea. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Yeah, I'm very definitely interested in Officer Down. So it's on festival circuit now, or are you looking to? I mean, obviously, you would hope for a distribution deal, but do you have any plans to make it available to people to be able to see if we aren't able to get to a festival at some point?
Yeah, definitely. So the advantage, as much as obviously it's a real shame at the moment with the pandemic and everything that we can't sort of get out to festivals and meet people and see it in theatres with audiences. The upshot with festivals is that a lot of them are going online now, and you have things like this where actually people all over the world can watch it rather than having to be in that specific city or wherever. So definitely they can keep an eye on the social media in case there's an opportunity to view it from where they are. But failing that, later this year, definitely the plan would be to get distribution for it and have it be sort of publicly available online. So we'll definitely be looking to do that.
Awesome. Well, let's connect on Twitter so that you can give us some information about those festivals where it might be online, because I know there's a lot of people out there that would love to see it.
We still have a few minutes, and have we talked about your poster? Because
No, we
it's
haven't.
really incredible. And who made that? Where did that come from?
So that's a poster designer here in the UK called Ben Hewitt. I've used him for a few things now. He's amazing. He's done loads of great posters. You can look at Ben Hewitt Creative, I think is his website. You can see the other stuff he's done. He's a really, really talented guy. But yeah, that was great as well because he wasn't working with any elements that we'd given him. He did that before production started, and we just said, okay, this is what we want it to be. And he went away and designed that, which was initially we had a version with just the eye. And then we decided to add the bandages, which I think is even nicer still. So yeah, he did an incredible job. He's an amazing designer.
Well,
I recommend anyone hire him that is looking.
Especially if he made that before you made the film, and it's identical to the vision that you guys created. That's really fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm just seeing if anything else is here. No real questions, but very well done.
I will also show.
Yes, please.
I've got a little memento here from the shoot, which I thought you might enjoy.
Is it gross?
Seeing. This hangs on my wall. So this is the chess piece from the end before.
Yeah, I recognize that.
There's definitely a lot of people that are like, why the hell would you hang that on your wall? But
I would.
I like that it's there. I really want to rig it so that they can blink, so the next time someone's looking at it, I can press a button or something and have one of them.
Make it motion detected, so when they go to the bathroom and they're standing there to take a pee, it just starts being blinking at them and looking. That's what I would do with
perfect,
it.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
You've got movie magic. Someone can hook that up for you.
There you go. Yeah.
When the toilet flushes, every time it just activates the eyeballs.
So
that'd be brilliant.
Sherry Martin on YouTube wants to know: did you name it your little chest plate eyeball thing?
We actually didn't, shockingly. But hey, look, let's put that out there. If anyone on YouTube or Twitter wants to suggest a name, then I'm happy to pick the best one, and we'll say it was that.
Oh,
All right, you heard it here, Stephen King Rules fans. We have an I'm the Doorway contest. Name the really gross eyeball chest
We have a few minutes, so
thing.
if you guys want to fire some off right now, we can get some in the running. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tom Judd says Judas Ghost is a great watch too, and it's on Prime now. So that's good to know that we can see that on Prime.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. Yes. Thank you very much, Todd. Glad people are still enjoying it. I still get the odd tweet now and again about it, which is really nice.
Oh, I'll definitely be checking that out for sure. Blinky, someone mentioned. Igor is a vote.
Igor, that's a good one.
Chest of Doors.
Winky.
Irene. Blinky.
I love it.
Okay, we got 2 votes for Irene now. Oh, this is good. We've started something really nice here. Simon, actually, Red Clark says Simon, Seymon. That's a good one too.
Very good, very good.
69.
I quite like Winky. There's something quite funny about a sort of slightly cutesy sounding name for this sinister creature. It just wants to be friends,
Oh yeah.
Is Patrick Cullum your VFX supervisor? Because
Yes,
he says
is.
it should
Yes.
be. He says it should be Isaac, spelled like I.
That is very good. Yes.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left here. Is there anything that you want to let us know about? Is there anything that you've sort of experienced during all of this, or something that's going on right now with you that you'd like to share?
Well, I just certainly like to say thank you so much for putting on this festival. It's so great, to see all these dollar babies together and to give them this platform, because I know it's, one of the slightly tricky things sometimes with the dollar babies is that you can't make it as readily available as necessarily you'd like to. And I've had a lot of people who haven't been able to get to certain festivals that have been keen to see it, and now this is a great chance for them to watch it. So that's really, really cool. So thank you so much for that. And but great to see the shelf life that this film is still having. So, it's really nice to be able to share it with more Stephen King fans. That's awesome.
And thank you so much for staying up, or maybe you just got up. I don't know what you did, but this is like so much better than just sending us a shout out video, because like you needed to be here for this fantastic film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so cool as well to to have this interactive thing where I was watching the chat during the film with a massive grin on my face, because it's the kind of thing you don't always get to see. So I'm very glad I did. I was debating, would it be better to stay up, or would it be better to, get a couple of hours sleep? So I did get a couple of hours sleep. So I was worried about being totally delirious and forgetting people's names or something terrible like that. So I did get a couple of hours sleep. I was able to check out the last rung on the ladder and Paranoid before I turned in, which were both, I thought, really cool. And really cool to see that last rung on the ladder as well, because it was one of the first ones, right? Before, one of the first $3 babies. So that was really cool. And Paranoid looked great as well. So it's been nice to check out some of the films. I'm definitely going to be seeing more of them tomorrow for sure.
Awesome.
And this film is played in other film festivals, yes? Like how many times? A bunch?
Yeah, so it started the first one was early 2018, premiered at Sci-Fi London, and that was the first time we got to see it on a big screen with an audience, which is awesome. And then we also did Screamfest at the end of that year, where it won Best Short, which was awesome. And again, so great to see it amongst all the other films that played there. So yeah, kind of played festivals all the way through till even last year. Actually, it was still doing some. So it's been really nice to sort of get it out there. And we were able to release it for a short time as well via Shorts International. They have a Shorts TV channel in various countries around the world. So they were able to run it for about a year or so, which was fantastic. We managed to get a sort of exclusive like one-off deal to have it be seen, which I believe does mean that Stephen King has seen this adaptation, because just one line in the contract just said the version at this link has been seen and approved by King. So I was like, yes.
Oh my God.
Because I know you didn't always
nice.
get to hear back. So that was nice to know that, hopefully he enjoyed it and has seen it out there. That's really cool.
Absolutely. And well, we have good reason to suspect that he's keeping his eye, no pun intended,
on dad jokes,
this
James.
Festival. I'm a dad. Come on. But no, that's really great. That's fantastic news that you got that particular deal. That's wonderful. Fantastic. Well,
really cool.
Thank you so much, Simon, not only for joining us here today, but for being the lead on this amazing adaptation of I Am the Doorway. You made a lot of people really happy and a lot of people really grossed out today. But we can't wait to see what's next.
That's so fun. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
Cheers.